Hello everyone, I am Aydogan Vatandas, the editor-in-chief of POLITURCO.com. Today I am joined by Professor David Phillips. He is the Director of Program Building and Rights Institute for Study of Human Rights at Columbia University. David, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
David, I know that you have been following Turkey for a long time, and you have wrote books on Turkey and related topics. And I want to ask you how you see the relations between the United States and Turkey, especially during the last several years. Do you think that there has been some deterioration between these two countries?
There's been dramatic deterioration. Relations are at a low point for a number of reasons. Turkey's cracked down domestically on human rights, actions it's taking against the HDP, Turkey's aggression against frontline states, its active collaboration with jihadi mercenaries in Syria, in Libya, and also in Nagorno-Karabakh. And first and foremost, Turkey's decision to purchase S-400 missiles from Russia. There's a long list of grievances that the U.S. has. Those issues define the bilateral relationship, and I'm sure they were discussed during the meeting between President Biden and Tayyip Erdogan on June 14th at the NATO summit.
Mm-hmm. And are you hopeful after this summit? Do you have any insights?
I'm not hopeful, but I'm pleased that Biden held the line. I'm sure that Erdogan pleaded with him to lift sanctions that have been imposed under the Countering American Adversaries Through Sanctions Act. I'm sure that he implored Biden to terminate U.S. support for forces in northern Syria who are allies with the U.S. in the fight against violent extremism. I'm sure, too, that the U.S. raised concerns about domestic human rights and cultural and political rights of the Kurds. Despite his tough talk prior to the meeting and Turkish media suggesting that Erdogan was going to play hardball with Biden, there's nothing to suggest that Erdogan did anything but show up, kiss the ring, as we've seen in photos, and respond rather meekly to the deteriorating relations with the U.S. So now we need to take a breath, think about the way forward, see how we can repair relations, but those relations can only be repaired if Turkey becomes a partner in preserving the international order rather than a disruptor of international relations.
So as far as we saw, Turkey wants to take some duties in Afghanistan. So do you think that that move would affect the United States decisions on Turkey? Do you think that it would be a positive move?
So as far as I understand, Turkey's offered to control and secure the Kabul airport. As U.S. and NATO forces withdraw, there's going to be a vacuum. Turkey's offered to fill the vacuum. Mm-hmm. There hasn't yet been a determination as to Turkey's role in the future. And Afghans, including the Taliban, have made it clear that they don't want Turkey to remain in country. So we'll have to see what happens with Afghanistan in the future. Turkey's made an offer trying to make itself indispensable. We don't know what the response to that offer has been. I think it's probably still being considered by headquarters in Brussels.
Mm-hmm. David, are you following the news about a Turkish mobster who has very deep ties with the Turkish state's establishment? So he's revealing a lot of secrets about Erdogan's family, and linking them to money laundering and drug trafficking. And I just noticed that President Biden made a statement in NATO summit. He said that they're going to fight with the money laundering related issues in all over the world. So do you think that United States is going to be also focusing on these kind of issues, and do you think that it would be related to Turkey as well?
Yes, I have been following the statements by Mr. Peker, and it's extraordinary what he's revealed. I think he has many more revelations, and we'll continue to hear from him. From my perspective, one of the most important statements he made had to do with Turkish support for jihadist mercenaries in Rojava.
Right.
Particularly beginning in 2015 and continuing to the present. It seems that Turkey subcontracted with Mr. Peker's consultancy to transfer weapons and militants to the front lines. This is nothing new. We've seen this reporting before, but we haven't heard it from somebody who was directly involved and who colluded actively with Hakan Fidan and Tayyip Erdogan to make it happen. Yes, the Biden administration is deeply concerned about corruption, about money laundering. We're seeing that emerge as a cornerstone of Biden's international relations, and no country will be immune from action by the U.S. if they're involved in criminality, personal enrichment, or other forms of corruption. So there's a warning to everyone that they need to clean up their act, stop their dirty business, get back into the international system, and become a reliable and transparent partner of the U.S. and the West.
Do you think that there is a similarity between Mr. Sedat Peker and Mr. Zarrab? You remember Zarrab, who was involved in evading sanctions against the United States. Do you think that the U.S. government would be interested in Sedat Peker having him in the United States as a witness?
There is a similarity. What we're learning is that there's a network of henchmen that Erdogan has used to do his dirty business. Sedat Peker is one. There are many others. All of that needs some daylight. It needs to be exposed. And yes, U.S. courts will be interested. We know that the Southern District of New York had a special interest in Halkbank and corrupt activities in which it was involved. Let's see what Sedat Peker has to say, and I'm sure that his testimony to a U.S. judge would be welcome.
And my last question, David, what do you think could happen about the S-400 missile system deal between Turkey and Russia? Do you think that Erdogan would want to step back?
Whether he wants to step back or not, he hasn't given any indication that he's going to reverse the decision. And there's a big price for Turkey to pay. It's been excluded from the F-35 stealth fighter system. Turkey says that they only turn to Russia for the S-400s because the U.S. made transfer of Patriot missiles difficult during the Obama administration. I don't buy that argument. It's an effort by Erdogan to leverage Russia against the United States, to put Turkey in the middle, to demonstrate Turkey's indispensable role to both countries. Fact of the matter is that Turkey has spent nearly $3 billion on an S-400 system. Turkey's economy is in ruins. It shouldn't be spending that money on sophisticated weapons. It should be spending that money to stabilize the Turkish lira and on social welfare. So Congress has made it very clear through CATSA that there are going to be sanctions and a penalty for Turkey to pay for its nefarious activity. That's not going to change. If anything, the pressure is going to be intensified as Turkey moves forward with the purchase of a second battery of S-400 missiles, which is widely reported.
David, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. And we had Professor David Phillips, the director of the program Building and Rights Institute for Study of Human Rights at Columbia University. Thank you so much again.
If I could just add a point.
Sure, sir.
The meeting in Brussels and the NATO conference overall was really about Russia and China. Meeting with Erdogan on the margins of the NATO summit was a result of Biden's statement on April 24th, recognizing the Armenian genocide.
Absolutely.
If the focus of the meeting in Brussels was to bring the alliance on board with a Russia and China policy, it was very successful. Erdogan may have tried to beat back the US on some of its commitments that he believes are not in Turkey's interest, but there's no reporting or suggestion that Erdogan was successful in that regard. If anything, he looked weak and not very competent. Compliments to President Biden for holding the line and making clear to Tayyip Erdogan what's expected of Turkey.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.